Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity, and I'm up again today with another quick card, and of course it's Panalisa, and we're going to use these. So I'm going to be using a sheet from this lovely pack here. They are, I showed in the hauls, kind of divided up so you can make instant books with them if you want to. You just need to fold them in half. I'm using that other fancy frame set that she sent. I used the other one, which I believe is oval. I used that one yesterday. And I'm using the watering can set, and I'm using everything in it except for this top layer. So this one is really cutesy. So if you want to do your watering can cutesy, you know, you can cut that in pink or lemon dots and what have you, and layer it on top of your watering can. But I've used a sheet of that basically to do everything that I want to do. So first of all, I did my card base and I completed it, and I've done it in craft and white. Now in that die set you get a spare one of these shapes, and so I've used it right at the top there, not at the bottom, and I've dropped everything down because my watering can is going to be kind of here and the flowers are going to end up here somewhere. So this base completed is 4 1/4 by 5 1/4, and I've just used my heavyweight white and craft cardstock. So the little piece that I'm talking about is this separate piece here. So you could put it on all 4 sides if you wanted to, but I just wanted to do my little top piece and highlight it. Right, so I have already been and die cut because I am trying to be organised. Yeah, I should never say that because terrible things begin to happen. So I'm just going to move my base over to there, and this is the sheets that I used to cut what I wanted. So this was actually connected, and as you can see, I think it goes that way. I cut it apart. So I got my watering can out of that kind of, I don't know, it's sort of like watercolour oil, isn't it? It almost is, you know, it's very dreamlike. So I cut my watering can out of that, and I cut all my flowers and my leaves out of that one. So I'll pop those out of the way. Please excuse my throat. And what I've done is I've double cut. So first of all I cut them in craft, and then I cut them in the paper because I wanted the pieces to be quite solid and sturdy. So that's basically what I've done. And you get a spare handle for your watering can. That little piece is your spout, and then if I can get my hands around this little piece, that is the shadow piece for your spout, which goes under it there. So that's where the water comes out. And all I did was cut 2 of these because I figured I'd probably end up, you know, just cutting them in half. So I only cut 2 flower stems, and then to go with that, the watering can layer, as I said, and all I'm going to do is glue everything down onto the tops like this so that it's solid. But if anything's kind of hanging out because gluing isn't always accurate, then what you've got is a little sort of, you know, craft shadow. So that's what I did it in that colour for. But then that's the watering can, and I did a craft watering can handle, and of course crafting the spout. So I've done exactly the same for my flowers, and as I showed you, I'm just scooting them all up here. I've done those in words and what have you. So what I'm going to do, I've got my Dollar Tree glue, and I'm just going to glue all of my pattern onto the craft that I showed you, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've glued all of the bits onto craft, and what I want to do next is use some of Panalisa's Distress inks. So I think I'm going to go with the Victorian Velvet from Panalisa, and I keep mine in tubes to keep them organised, and I didn't get that one out quite accurately, but normally you can just pop your tool in and get whatever out. Now these were cut out of some of the rose area of the paper, so there's pink there, so I think I'm just going to concentrate with that. So I'm just going to move the leaves because I kind of want to leave the leaves natural, and Let's have a look how much is on here, because I tend not to clean anything and I don't really want to overdo the colour. Right, so I need to finish inking that up. I'll just get the pads and I'll be back. So anyway, just to confuse things, I actually picked up the wrong colour tube, and I've got the ink pad anyway, and this is from Panalisa. So I'm just going to go in, and I only want a little bit. That's going around quite a few times, but I intend just to dibble around the edges of what I'm doing. So let's have a look at what we've got first of all, because I'd rather it be darker on the edge and paler on top. So I kind of like need to use up what I've got here, and then I might even rub it out on some paper. So I'm only doing this just because I want to highlight the edges, because they're all similar in colour. So I've got the tulip and the large flower, and I'm going to do this one, and then I'm just going to get a small scrap of cardstock to rub out anything that I've got left, and I will actually do the edges of these, and then that kind of ties it in, even though I'm not going to put any colour over the surface of them. Wonderful thing about inks is you can do whatever you want. Right, so I'm going into my watering can, just going to give that a little bit. I think I'm going to go under there. I love to do shading with inks, where and if you look at some of my earlier surprise creation videos where I used to design dies for surprise creation, and then of course COVID happened and all sorts of things went awry, but I do love to create shadows using inks. Right, so I've got quite a little bit of pink going on there now. I'm going to leave the handle alone, I think, and I'm wondering if I've removed sufficient ink off this. So I'm just going to kind of like tickle it while I'm in the air. And talking about things being in the air, I've actually popped a link down below today. I've already ordered mine, and that is, if you like the action card wobbles, they're on AliExpress now, and they're so cheap. I think I ordered 90, which should last me a good few years, and I think the postage is free. So you know, they're just great fun. If you like to stamp and die cut something out and just create a little bit of extra dimension and a bit of fun on something, then the action card wobbles are a brilliant thing to use. Right, I'm wondering actually if I want any pink on my leaves, or if I'm going to leave them plain. I think I might put some green on. Hang on, I'm just going to pause. Right, so I grabbed Panalisa's bundled sage here, and I've got some onto here. So I'm just going to do the edges of my leaves. I might even put a bit actually onto the stems. I'm going to go up from the bottoms just to add a little bit more colour, because there is a little bit of green there in the watering can, which is quite nice. And this is a little bit vintage, but not, if you know what I mean. Kind of getting the best of both worlds. Got a nice little bit of green going on there. Yeah, and I think I'll leave the stems craft. That's what I'll do. So I've got a little bit of colour going on there, and now I want to turn the watering can into the whole embellishment. So I'm going to grab my foam tape just from the other side of my table, which is this stuff, and this is from Alina Craft. So I'm just going to pop those over to the edge. Now, as I said, I'm turning this into a big embellishment that I can then just drop on top of the card. And my ink thing just rolled onto the floor. Now, I know that there's going to be some overhang on my background, so I'm only putting my foam in that area. And then of course I need something that's going to catch the stems and the flowers, so I'm going to go across this way now and then trim that out. And just in case anything ends up down there, and I will do that. And then usually what I tend to do with stuff like this, bringing my bits back in, is I peel the backs off so that I can insert the pieces that I know are going to go down inside behind the watering can, and anything else I'll use my Dollar Tree glue. But I know that it's peeled off on the back, and so I will hold it towards myself like this, and then I just think about where I want my foliage, and you kind of tend to want it inside of your watering can if that's what you're going for. So can you see that? It's caught that piece there, but I'm going to go there. So I know that that's stuck down. And then we've got an overlapping piece, and I kind of want that in front. And then you can look to see, and that's also attached itself onto the foam there. Now obviously you can't put it down once you do that, because if you do, you know, things are going to get stuck. And then that one's wobbling around a bit because I haven't pushed it down, but I don't want it coming out of the edge. So I think I'm going to go with 2 stems in here. And only to be able to see like a little bit of them, because what you're doing is like you're building up your bouquet. So that's now stuck onto there. And then I've got another one which I think I can bring right to the front. So if I hold that and push that in there, I want that to go a lot lower down. So I kind of got those like woven in, if you know what I mean. Is my camera working? Just about, I think. So now I can bring this over and I can decide where I'm having my embellishment, and I know that I want it quite close to the bottom because you can see just how high up those other things are. And you've already got your foam on, so that's just going to stick down there. And then it's just about choosing, you know, where to glue your flowers, where you're going to have them. Like there's a little one. I mean, that one can hang outside of the watering can. And then I'm going to make use of that stem there. And then of course we've got, you can actually glue that like that, or you can glue it like that. I might go on top, but I'm kind of just arranging so that you can see where I'm going here. And I want my butterfly pointed in that direction. So roughly as you see that, I'm just going to glue it and I will be right back. Right, so I glued all of my bits down, and that is probably about as dry as I'm going to get it within 5 minutes, but it's just really lovely. If I put it down you can see it better, just the simplicity of it. And you've got all like the musical score and the words in your flowers, and you've got your butterfly in that one, and just a little bit of ink, just really sweet. And then of course you could do a little tag with some twine hanging off your watering can, or just a little sentiment across here to say happy birthday or get well soon or anything like that. So that is what I got for you today. Now don't forget, as I said, those action wobbles are linked below along with everything else from Panalisa. So have an absolutely awesome day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more. Bye.